Well, good morning, Las Vegas. 10 minutes after the hour of 6 o'clock, Celine Dion just finished singing God Bless America, taking us to our Bible study for the day. 21st chapter of the book of Revelation. We are in on our radio station, 100 Water. Ooh, the 100 Water. Transmitting, from near Hermit's Peak. Now that God, we found out a lot more about the hermit. We're talking a lot. Anyway, Revelation chapter 21 is where we are at this morning. We are also live on YouTube and on Facebook and going on. And I really appreciate the people that are in with me at 6 o'clock in the morning. For those people on Facebook and YouTube, especially you out-of-towners, we start live here at 6 o'clock in the morning, give a little bit of news events, just little stuff that maybe you're not getting anyplace else that you might find here as we start our program off. But then we have a prayer to where we get together as a community of faith and we pray for our area, specifically 50 miles in every direction. And I appreciate and I want to thank those who pray with me in the morning. And by faith, we reach out to our community and we ask God. And I believe God is doing something and God is answering our prayers, ladies and gentlemen. I've had, good morning, Flo. How you doing? I've had a couple of confirmations from some of the pastors here in town. So we're going to keep praying, and that's worth the price of admission alone is just the ability that we have for 2 minutes every morning to pray together here in Las Vegas. But let's get into why we are here this morning at KLYN 90.3 FM, that we have a website for you, lvcornerstone.com. is one place to where you can connect up to Facebook and YouTube a little bit easier. We also have an email address, klyn903@gmail.com, prayer and input line there. And let's see if I'm going to hear from Jennifer today. I saw her at church yesterday and never even was able to get over there and shake her hand. Anyway, Jennifer, I am sorry. We had, as you know, as she came, a lot of things going on. So, without further ado, whatever that means, we are going to the scriptures on our vid, and just an opportunity for you to follow along in the Bible with you. And I strongly, I was going to say strictly, we got to do it because the guy said we have to. I would strongly recommend that you read these chapters that we are in ahead of time and begin to draw your own conclusions. Ask the Holy Spirit to give you understanding. And, we might not always agree on what we got, but there might be little levels and little layers there that you see that I'm not seeing, I see that you don't see, and they're really not conflicting as much as we think they are. Anyway, Joe is with us. And also Debbie and Dana Burns from together again. Let's see, on Facebook. So we are on Facebook and on YouTube this morning. I saw a new heaven and a new earth. Now, something that I'm mulling over, now that we're finishing off with the Bible and going back to the beginning of the Bible. Here's kind of the lay of the land for the people that are connected with us. And I don't know if George or Jody are there, but they might be listening and brushing your teeth, doing stuff like that in the morning. If you have hair, comb it. I don't have to worry about that anymore. But here's something I'm always looking for maybe a little change here and a little change there. The same way that we had change when we got into the Gospels on this third time that we go through the Bible here on the early morning program, and we use the Synoptic Gospel by A.T. Robertson, and I thought that went real well. Now, here's kind of what I'm thinking. I'm thinking of is if I can connect on our feed a couple of two, three different, brothers, you know, children of God. And as we're going through the book of Genesis, that maybe we have other people on our audio video feed that are able to give us a little blurb of what they think, the particular verse, the particular subject that we're going in there, and we can have more than just one guy. Now, that's tough for me, okay? Some people are going to say, wow, sharing my pulpit, which I really, sharing my pulpit isn't an easy thing, okay? I'll just tell you that. Good morning, Shauna. How you doing? But I'm thinking of maybe here. In fact, here's what I'm thinking. We're finished with Book of Revelation. Might take a few days off, okay? Maybe not the end of this week, but the end of next week. Okay, we might take a couple of days off here. But I'm thinking of once we finish Revelation, having a short series on why I believe in the present day ministry of the Holy Spirit. That could take 3-4 days that we could do that. And because I get a lot of questions on it. I get questions all the time. I got a big question last week on it. We sat down and we talked about it and why I believe in the present day ministry of the Holy Spirit as we find in the New Testament, and probably we'll even go into the Old Testament a little bit when we get into that. And then maybe take a couple of days off, and after that, see if the technology will allow us, and maybe that's the right way to bring in a couple of extra voices here on the early morning program. And if you're interested in chiming in, you might let me know, because we're going to limit it and we're going to have some rules before we do it. And it shouldn't be you have to trust whoever feels into it. Yeah, thank you, Dana. Thank you very much. Good morning, Kathleen. How you doing? Saw you Saturday, didn't see you Sunday. Verse 1, chapter 21, the book of Revelation. Now remember, what we have seen is the wrath of God that seems to cover a 3.5-year period. I was driving this morning over here, the long trek, what is it, Dana? About 6-7 blocks, from my house all the way to Cornerstone Church this morning. I was thinking about this. The ministry of Jesus was about 3.5 years. The ministry of the Antichrist, not the many Antichrists, because John told us in his epistle that there are many antichrists that have gone out into the world, but we realize that there will be that one, final. And his ministry is about 3.5 years. Now, I don't know if that means anything really, but I just said, wow, that seems like it's kind of a parallel type of a thing. Anyway, we are over that. When we get to the 21st chapter, the war is over. The battle is over. The dragon, the beast, the harlot, bowls and vials and all kinds of stuff. It's done with. I see a new heaven. John is saying, I saw, a new heaven and a new earth. For the first heaven and the first earth had passed away, and also there was no more sea. And we're convinced. Okay, me and the mouse in my pocket. Okay, are convinced. How little tweet. He says yes, I agree. He has to agree, because you know what. That God is in the middle of bringing everything back to close the circle of destruction. And when we get up to the end of chapter 20, which we covered last week, and even a little bit on Friday's program, we talked a lot about Charlie Kirk over the last couple of days. We even yesterday at service, we talked a lot about Charlie Kirk. For the people that watch us on Sundays, I don't think we had a lot of YouTube and Facebook because we didn't have a real teaching. It turned into a discussion about where we're at and what I believe our response should be. And but you heard it from me last Thursday and last Friday. It's over. The battle is not only is the battle over, the war is over. And God has judged. And now it's time for the new heaven and the new earth. Because the first heaven and the first earth has passed away. No big surprise that the first heaven and the first earth, which we are living in right now, has passed away after hailstones that were about 100 pounds falling down on it, and earthquakes happening, that islands were disappearing, and mountains were being squashed down. I'm just reading it the way that I see it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just like the umpire behind the plate. I just call them as I see them. And maybe I'm not seeing each and every one of them, like even a Major League Baseball, but we just call them as we see them. Good morning, Leroy Doty. Now, I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth had passed away. Also, there was no more sea. And we talk a lot about first heaven, second heaven, third heaven. Some people try to add numbers to that. So, there's the seventh heaven. You've heard the term seventh heaven before. I don't find it in the Bible. Maybe it's there and I missed it. As Dana would say, it's all about perspective. I saw a new heaven and a new earth. The first heaven and the first earth had passed away. Also, there was no more sea. How do you conceive that stuff? Can you imagine a world without a sea? But the Bible talks about it. It's passing away. No more sea. Then I, John, saw the holy city. And maybe at the end of the first verse, he's weeping for the old, and then he sees the new. Maybe he's saying, oh, look at that's home. That's where I live. That's my world. And it's passing away. And there was the sea. I don't even. And then all of a sudden, he sees the new. I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I think we mentioned this on Friday. Now, a city that's a bride. I saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. The fulfillment, and not just the fulfillment, because we have koinonia, we have fellowship with God, and we have fellowship with fellow believers, but the fulfillment of God with us. After all the closing and all the judging and all of the grace and the mercy and everything that has happened, it was time for the new. And John sees this holy city, the New Jerusalem. The old one was on the first earth, and it passed away. And it's coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And that's not just John trying to make some type of a connection. No, it's a very close connection. Prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. Do you know the husband? And are you prepared to be part of the bride? Are you prepared for the fulfillment of all things? And do you have enough faith to know that God is doing something and he is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we are able to ask or think? And we think well, I can ask and I can think for a lot. Well, God can do more than that. And then some of us say, well, I don't know if I can think about a lot of that stuff. He says, well, I can still do more than that, Sice. Just don't worry about it. Read it and wait for the revelation, because we are in the book of Revelation, the last 2 chapters of the book of Revelation, the revelation of Jesus Christ. We are still seeing the unveiling, the uncovering of the mystery of who he is in his resurrected, ascended state. The victor, the one that was riding the white horse with his robe dipped in blood and going out and conquering. I heard a loud voice from heaven saying, behold, the tabernacle of God is with men. One of his main points was to be with you, is to dwell with you, to abide with you. We've talked a lot about that over the last few weeks, especially on Sundays. The tabernacle of God is with men, and he will dwell with them. And, oh my God, they shall be his people. God himself will be with them and be their God. I mean, you say, well, he's with us now. Yeah, he is with us, but he's really going to be with us. Here is Selah taking us to the bottom of the hour.
When I survey the wondrous cross on which the Prince of Glory died, my richest gain I count but loss, and for contempt on all my pride. See from his head, his hands, his feet, sorrow and love mingle down. Did have such love and sorrow me, or thorns compose so rich a crown.
Boom. Yeah. Can you not love that song, man? What a way of singing that song, Selah. When I survey the wonderful cross, 30 minutes and 30 seconds after the hour, 45 degrees is our current temperature. Yep, we're in the 40s, ladies and gentlemen. And not just the high, the mid 40s this morning as a low. Sunny today, though. High near 79, west wind 5 to 15 miles per hour. Tomorrow, sunny, high near 78. Temperatures falling to around 71 tomorrow afternoon. South wind 5 to 10 miles per hour. 30% chance of precip in the afternoon. And on Wednesday, the chance goes up to 40% with mostly sunny skies. High near 77 degrees and southwest wind on Wednesday, 5 to 10 miles per hour. And don't forget, next week is New Year's. We're a week away from New Year's, ladies and gentlemen. And everybody's looking at their calendar real quick. What is he talking about? Rosh Hashanah starts next Monday. Anyway, good morning, Yolanda. How's everything doing? Everybody going okay. Anyway, let's get back into it. Prayer and input line is klyn903@gmail.com. Let's continue. I was going to say something. Let me take that one off there. I was going to say something. It'll come up. Then I saw the holy city. And I heard. So all kinds of things are going on. He's seen, he's heard, everything. I heard a loud voice from heaven saying, the tabernacle of God is with men, and he will dwell with them. And that's not a scary thing. The devil has been, remember, the pit has been opened. He came out at the end of the 1,000 years for a short time to see one more time to see what free will is going to, and then he has been thrown in, I think, into the lake of fire, someplace like that we read on the previous chapter. But now, the tabernacle of God is with men. He will dwell with them, and they shall be his people. There's a song that says something, what a glorious day that will be. What's the name of that song? God himself will be with them and be their God. Wow. You can bask in that for a little while if you want to. Just what you mean? Watch what it says. Verse 4. God will wipe away every tear from their eyes. There shall be no more death, nor sorrow, nor crying. There shall be no more pain, for the former things have passed away. If my wife is listening this morning, she'll say, glory. Why? Because there'll be no more pain. And I bring a lot of tears to her eyes too, so that's what. There shall be no more death, nor sorrow, nor crime. The dead in Christ have already rose, and well, all people have risen. All have gone before the judgment. Everybody, those who didn't believe unto their eternal destiny, and us, we who believe into our destiny. No more death, nor sorrow, nor crying, no more pain. He says that's all from the old. That belongs to the old, we call it the first heaven and the first earth because of sin, ladies and gentlemen. People are always asked that stupid question. Well, if God is all powerful, because he gave us a free will. Why do these things happen if God is all powerful? Number one, because he knows everything and you don't. Number two, and I think we covered it just now already, is that we have a free will. And we are living in a fallen world. And that's why the first heaven and the first earth have passed away. And all things have been made new. Exactly right. Is that the name of the song? The song is What a Day That Will Be. Dana doesn't think I know any of the old hymns, but God will wipe away every tear from their eyes. No more, no more death, nor sorrow, nor crying. There shall be no more pain, for the former things have passed away. A lot of people, even death. We confronted death last week in a big way in the United States of America. There's a lot of sorrow. There was a lot of crying, a lot of people in pain. He says all that. Then, watch this. Then, verse 5, he who sat on the throne said, behold, I make all things new. And he said to me, write, for these words are true and faithful. There was one of the times to where we had finished with what was it, the seven thunders, when the seven thunders came, and and John takes out his writing time, and it's time to write it down. He says, no. Don't write down what the seven thunders. I'm pretty sure it's the seven thunders. He says, don't write down what the seven thunders are saying. We can talk about bowls. We can talk about different things, the sevens that have come to different judgments. Don't talk about but this one, I want to make sure that you write it down. Behold, I make all things new. Write, for these words are true and faithful. Do you have faith to receive that? Do you have faith? Do you have, the disciples told Jesus, increase our faith. And Jesus says, if you have faith as a mustard seed. And that means that you just have it and you just hold it. But the mustard seed has to be planted and it becomes the biggest tree in the garden. He said to me, write, for these words are true and faithful, full of faith. You have a problem, Well, yeah, it's so rough, and it's so bad, and so this and so that. Yeah, it is, man. It is a lot of crazy things going on, and it seems like it's getting crazier and crazier. But this is the best of times. Like who was it, George? Wasn't it Charles Dickinson? You told me the other day. It was this is the best of times, and these are the worst of times. Let's make it the worst of the times for the devil. For the kingdom of darkness. Let's make it the worst of times for him. Jennifer, sorry, Jennifer. I didn't get to you yesterday. I wanted to, and just... He said to me, it is done. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. I will give of the fountain of the waters of life freely to him who thirsts. Didn't he kind of say that to the woman at the well in the 4th chapter of the book of John? Did he talk about water? And this water you will thirst again, but I have a water if you drink it. He says, listen, I will give of the fountain of the water of life freely to him who thirsts. I don't think that's H2O. I'm not sure. But I don't think it's H2O. I think it's, Jesus talked about living water. Can you imagine water that is alive? Isn't that what he said? Didn't he say living water? Okay. Now you got me thinking about it. Let's see, the fountain freely. Let's see if John... Jesus answered and said to her, if you knew the gift of God, who it is who says to you, give me a drink, you would have asked, he would have given you living water. Boom, there it is, the 10th chapter of the 4th chapter, living water. Now, if that doesn't get your attention, you say, water that's alive? That's not all. There's more to come. Hold on till 10 minutes after the hour of 7 o'clock. There's more to come in the 21st chapter. It is done. What's done? This whole circle that is being completed, there's cycles within the cycles within the cycle. And this is the huge cycle. This is the big cycle. Within it are all kinds of different little cycles that are going on over and over. We've been talking about that here in the early morning program. But he says, it's done. It's finished. I completed the big cycle and all the little ones that were associated with it. I am the Alpha and the Omega. the beginning and the end. We know what Alpha and Omega is. I will give of the you don't know what Alpha and Omega is? Well, let me tell you. It is like saying I am the A and the Z. Okay? The alphabet, Alpha, A, Omega, the end, the beginning and the end. I will give of the fountain of the water of life freely to him who thirsts. He who overcomes. Are you thirsty this morning? There's living water for you. And then at that day, if you're thirsty, go to the fountain. Sounds like another song. He who overcomes shall inherit all things. George says the spiritual water is nourishment. Food for your spirit, man. Or nourishment, I guess there shouldn't be food if it's water, okay? Life, living water. He who overcomes, watch this, shall inherit all things. We were in the 2nd and the 3rd chapter, and we saw 7 times he says, to the overcomers, to the overcomers, to the overcomers. Every one of the churches, whether they were doing pretty good or they weren't doing too good at all or anything in between, all of them had overcomers. 7 times. Didn't we write even a little editor? There it is. My God, you'd think that I get ready for stuff in the morning. Thank God for prayer and the Holy Spirit. Here's the promise to the overcomers from the 2nd and the 3rd chapter. Do you want to be an overcomer? Do you really? There was a book that was written by James. What is James? What's your last name, James? When you were alive in Medford, Oregon, many years ago, called the Overcomers. I read that many, many years ago, and I really liked it. In fact, I think I have a copy on my shelf. I don't know why. I'll probably never read it again, but it would make for some good reading. I have a hard time reading books anymore, except the 66 books written by 40 authors. Okay, but the overcomers. Here's the promise to the overcomers. Number 1, I will give to eat from the tree of life, which is in the midst of the paradise of God. So there's food from the tree, and there's drink from the fountain to the overcomers. The overcomers shall not be hurt by the second death. Okay, I will give some of the hidden manna to eat. I will give them a white stone, and the stone a new name written, which no one knows except whom he receives. Are you an overcomer? Do you have a desire to be an overcomer? I will give power over the nations. I think we covered that fairly well when we were in that section of the Book of Revelation. Jim McKeever. See, that's why I got people like George right over there. Jim McKeever wrote a book, and I think he just called it Overcomers. I can see the light blue cover with a rainbow and a picture in the middle. But here's the promise to the overcomers. Watch this, ladies and gentlemen. Not everybody in the churches of Revelation were overcomers. Not everybody, but to the overcomers there was promises. I will give them a white stone, a stone with a new name written no one knows except him who receives it. I will give them power over the nations. He will rule them with a rod of iron. They shall be dashed to pieces like the potter's vessels. As I also have received from my Father, I will give him the morning star. That's another study in itself, the morning star. The overcomers shall be clothed in white garments. Just in Revelation alone, talking about the overcomers. He is the overcomer, and we overcome because of the faith. And let me tell you, faith without works is dead. Once you become a believer, that's your path to overcoming. is to walk in the, I love this one too. Okay, I love a lot of things. I love that God says there is a book written about you in heaven and you will be judged by the book. I will give him the morning star. He shall be clothed in white garments. I will not blot out his name from the book of life, but I will confess his name before my Father and before his angels. What? I will not blot out his name from the book of life. He shall be clothed in white garments. Not going to blot out his name. Oh, well, we've seen all this. You remember we saw the saints. Didn't they come with him on horses and they followed him who was sitting on a white horse whose robe had been dipped with blood, with a two-edged sword was coming out of his mouth, and he came out to conquer, to overcome? And he says, I'm not going to blot your name out. He says, you're going to be clothed also in white garments. Does that mean we're going to be with him, riding our own horses on that? But I will confess his name. You better get practice now. I will confess his name before my Father and before his angels. These are promises to the overcomers. I will make him a pillar in the temple of my God. He shall go out no more. I will write on him the name of my God, the name of the city of my God. Well, baby, you'll never get lost because you're going to have that name all over. I will write on him the name of my God, the name of the city of my God. I guess we're talking about the New Jerusalem, don't you think? Well, the New Jerusalem, it answers the question for me, which comes down out of heaven from, I see in the third chapter of the book of Revelation, he was already telling us about the New Jerusalem. He's already telling us, and now we read it again, and I will write on him my new name. I will grant to sit with me. I will grant to sit with me on my throne, as I also overcame and sat down with my Father on his throne. No, we're not going to go back there. Okay, you pull up the second. Wait. It would be the second and the third chapter of the book of Revelation when we were there a few weeks back. Believe it or not, it's been weeks. He who overcomes, verse 7, shall inherit all things. God, I said, well, that's not mine. No, all things. Don't touch that one. No, all things. The overcomer, he who overcomes shall inherit all things. I will be his God, and he shall be my son. So we're sons and we're brides at the same time. So for the lady folk out there this morning that say, well, I'm a son, I'm going to be a son. Yeah, and we're going to be the bride. So, but the cowardly. Now, when I mention books like this, James McKeever, You Can Overcome, I think is what it was called. Finding the book is going to be a little tough, I would imagine. It's not. It's probably not in print anymore. You're going to have to find maybe a used copy from some seller that has it someplace. But if you want to read it, it might even be online. I doubt if you're going to find it on Kindle. I really do. We're starting a new Bible study, and I'm inviting men to start with us Tuesdays at Heart of David Worship Center at 6:00 in the evening. A new book called Maximized Manhood by Ed Cole. If anybody remembers Edwin Cole, we're starting that. And I think if I have Dana comes on foot, what do we do? Facebook or YouTube? I think we do Facebook, and Dana comes in, and he's in Indiana and studying along with us and dialoguing on the whole thing. If there's more people that want to do it, we can open that up Tuesdays at 6:00 in the morning. You can get your own copy of the book. I couldn't find it on Kindle, so you're going to have to order a paperback copy of Maximize Manhood. We're going through it every week, about an hour. We start a little past 6:00 as Dana always knows that we shouldn't, but we do. And we're going through this new book. And like I tell you, if you guys want to follow along with us out there and come with and even comment, all of that is open. And we can do a Zoom or something like that, close to that, to where everybody be together on that, plus the guys that are there in person around the table. It's open. It's ready. We can do it. Let's get ready now for it. And then I'll present it to James Vaughn. He won't have any problem with it. Oh, we do it FaceTime is what Dana says. But we can do it Zoom. And we can help you set up. You don't have to pay for an account to do Zoom. But the cowardly, unbelieving, oh my God, what is this? Okay, we have the overcomers. And then we have those who didn't overcome. But the cowardly, unbelieving, okay? Now, in between the overcomer and those that are described in verse 8 is a people, okay? But we won't. But the cowardly, because remember, is that when Jesus spoke, and look at the second and third chapter, it's a red letter. If your red letter edition of the Bible is available to you, you'll see it was Jesus that was talking, and it was Jesus said to the church at Ephesus, I have this against you. I see that you're doing this. Great on this one. But to the overcomers, not everybody was an overcomer, but they were of the church. So there's an in-between between verse 7 and verse 8, not chapters, between verse 7 and verse 8 that's in front of us. But here's the cowardly, the unbelieving, the abominable, the murderers, the sexually immoral, sorcerers, idolaters, and all liars shall have their part in the lake which burns with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. Let's look at verse 8, and let's see if, how am I going to do this? We'll do compare. Okay, because we're going to do a couple of translations about these different people that are out there. Good morning, Andrea. Okay, we have a list. Preachers love lists. They really get us going. Okay, we get a lot of information. We can chew a lot out of a list. But as for the cowards and unbelieving and abominable, the abominable are those who are devoid of character and personal integrity and practice or tolerate immorality. Notice that? How the Amplified will amplify it for us. Murderers and sorcerers with intoxicating drugs. That's the connection he's making between sorcerers. We've done that before. We just did it last week. In fact, I think we did it the week before, and Tommy even helped me out a lot about that because I was talking about big pharma, and Tommy's looking at the street drugs. All of it drugs, all of it intoxicating. Sorcery, ladies and gentlemen. Where do you think this type of evil comes into the lives of people? There's an element of the devil there. Idolaters and occultists who practice and teach false religions. An occultist? Well, I thought they, had bandanas on their head and a ball in front of them, and they saw things in there. That's the occultist way. Those who practice and teach false religions. And all the liars, and I think George really wants to jump in on this one, all the liars who knowingly deceive and twist the truth. And we all know that that's going on big time in our world today. Those who knowingly deceive and twist the truth. Those who will accuse you of being what they are to try to deflect it away from themselves. They'll call you Nazi when they're the ones that are the Nazis. No. I mean, I'm rubber and you're glue. Whatever you say bounces off of me and goes back to you. I think I got a couple of smiles off of that one, and we're getting ready. Okay, 45 seconds, and we'll play a song. Their part will be, this is the amplified version of verse 8, their part will be in the lake that blazes with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. The message says, but for the rest, and you're not helping me out, message, the feckless, the faithless, the degenerates and murderers, sex peddlers and sorcerers, idolaters and all liars, for them it's lake of fire and brimstone. Running out of time for us to play a song to get us to the top of the hour. Maybe we'll look at a couple of other translations in just a few. But Fernando Ortega is going to take us up to the top of the hour, where we will look at current weather conditions here in 87701. I will sing of my Redeemer.
I will sing of my Redeemer and his wondrous love to me. On the cruel cross he suffered, from the curse to set me free. Sing, oh sing of my Redeemer. With his blood he purchased me. On the cross he sealed my pardon, paid the debt and made me free. I will tell the wondrous story, how my lost estate to save. In his boundless love and mercy, he the ransom freely gave. Sing, oh sing of my Redeemer. With his blood he purchased me. On the cross he sealed my pardon, paid the debt and made me free. I will praise my dear Redeemer, his triumphant power I'll tell, how the victory he giveth over sin and death and hell. Sing, oh sing of my Redeemer. With his blood he purchased me. On the cross he sealed my pardon, paid the debt and made me free. Sing, oh sing of my Redeemer. With his blood he purchased me. On the cross he sealed my pardon, paid the debt and made me free.
Fernando Ortega singing of his Redeemer on this Monday morning, the 15th day of September. It is 7 o'clock. Excuse me. 7 o'clock in the morning, you're listening to KLYN 90.3 FM, a ministry of Cornerstone Church. 46 degrees is the current temperature. It feels like 43 with a 6-mile-an-hour breeze blowing out of the north. Okay, it's a little early for us to be talking about wind chill, but it's out there. 63% humidity. We're in the 21st chapter of the book of Revelation. We are on YouTube and on Facebook Live currently for the next, let's say, 9 minutes or so. So that's where we're at. But we have a website, lvcornerstone.com, that is available for you to check us out on there and make sure we're, not trying to sell you something. Okay? King James Bible, okay, verse 8. We're in verse 8 of the 21st chapter. But the fearful, the unbelieving, the abominable, murderers, whoremongers, sorcerers, idolaters, liars shall have their part in the lake which burneth with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. And one of the reasons I don't use the King James is because of the burneth and the thouest and all that other stuff that goes along with it. Now, remember, we're looking, and I had to look this up because not even Webster tells us what feckless is. But for the rest, the feckless and the faithless. Who are the feckless? Well, let's see if I am able to tell you that it is a Scottish origin. The word feckless is not a swear word according to AI. It's an adjective meaning ineffective, incompetent, or lacking responsibility. That's why the Message translator used the word feckless, and it probably went over most of our heads. I know it did over mine. The cowards, the unbelieving, the abominable, those who are devoid of character and personal, that sounds feckless to me, those who are devoid of character and personal integrity and practice or tolerate immorality. That's why sometimes you should have a amplified translation close to you, because it'll help you there. One of the best ways, ladies and gentlemen, to study the Bible is to have more than one translation available. That's why we can go to the parallel version on eSword, which you can download off of your Android device, your Windows device, your iPhone, your iPad, your Mac computer. You can look at them in parallel. Right now I have on the first cell there, New King James. And then we're looking at the same verse from the Amplified, the same verse from the Message, and the last one is the ESV, English Standard Version. And you set that up the way that you want to set it up. If you want to have a Spanish version, you could have Spanish NBLA right there along with it, and you could have a Spanish version. And watch how this works. You could go just nothing but all the Bible there and knock off the commentary in the dictionary section to go along with it. And then you could talk about the cobardes, incrédulos, all those in Spanish. We're not going to go any further than that. Let's go back to where we were at in the 8th verse. And I'm going to go back to our regular view. So, they're going to have their part. They're going to have their part. The overcomers on one side and the immoral, unbelievers, cowardly, all those on the other side. And that really doesn't even cover everybody. I'm convinced it doesn't cover everybody. The carnal is there in the middle. We've been talking about that on Sundays. I think I got some people thinking when we started talking about the natural, the carnal, and the spiritual man. I think I got some people thinking on that. Bought and Paid For says Bible Gateway is a great source for more versions, okay? There's, Logos is one. Bible Gateway. I don't know if I've looked at that one before, son, or not. But maybe I have. I mean, I'm so stuck on the one that I'm familiar with, which is eSword, that I'm not looking for a new one. But maybe we'll check out Bible Gateway. See, the cowardly, unbelieving, abominable murderers, sexually immoral, sorcerers, idolaters, or liars have their part in the lake. They have their part in the lake which burns with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. So they're going to go down with their daddy, okay? Their daddy's over there in the lake, and they're going to go in the same lake that burns with fire and brimstone. Then, okay, we only have about 4 minutes left on today's program. One of the 7 angels who had the 7 bowls filled with the last 7 plagues came to me and talked with me, saying, "Come, I will show you the bride and the Lamb's wife." The 7 angels who had the 7 bowls, we're finished with that. But one of those angels comes to John. See all the good ones that are available, you guys? How about the Blue Letter Bible? I'm sorry, verse 9. We're in verse 9, but our side comment is talking about different resources that are available for you on the internet. The internet isn't all terrible, just 99% of it, okay? The tree of knowledge of good and evil is what I call the internet, okay? Bible Hub, George says, is good. Bought and Paid For says Bible Gateway is good. I say that eSword is excellent. Logos is supposed to be a very good one. Blue Letter Bible is another one that's really good. There's so many opportunities that are available for you. Don't say, "I can't get one. I don't know how." Then that angel one of the angels who had the 7 bowls filled with the last 7 plagues came to me and talked with me, saying, "Come, I will show you the bride, the Lamb's wife." Okay, we had gone through the 7 seals. We had gone through, was there 7 trumpets, 7 bowls, and in between there was 7 thunders. It comes. It takes a little while, but it comes. "Come, I will show you the bride. I will show you the bride, the Lamb's wife." Get ready, get ready, get ready. Time for you to kind of sit up straight in your chair, because he's going to show off the bride. One of the 7 angels who had the 7 bowls filled with those last 7 plagues came to me and talked with me, saying, "Come, I will show you the bride, the Lamb's wife." So he carried me away in the Spirit to a great and high mountain and showed me the great city, the holy Jerusalem, descending out of heaven from God. Don't we see that at the beginning? I saw a new heaven and new earth. I saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride. So verse 2 and verse 9, verse 9, just expanding. What we saw in verse 2, we come down to verse 9, and we get that better view of what he's talking. He says, come on, I'm going to show you. You saw it in verse 2, but let me show you. Let's get a little bit closer. Then one of the 7 angels who had the 7 bowls filled with the last 7 plagues came to me and talked with me, saying, "Come, I will show you the bride and the Lamb's wife." And he carried me away in the Spirit to a great and high mountain, and showed me the great city, the holy Jerusalem, descending out of heaven from God, having the glory of God. Her light was like the most precious stone. We'll cover that more than likely on tomorrow's program. God bless you all, and thank you for sticking with me on another early morning program here on KLYN. Who do I have? Salvador saying, this is Galatians 2:20. Galatians 2:20. Look it up.
Here